ICT Hub presents research work to fight against COVID-19 pandemic to Zamfara state government. Nigeria records 148 new COVID-19 cases. President Muhammadu Buhari describes former President Yar'Adua as a patriot. On business, price crash delays oil bid rounds and upstream projects. And on the international scene, federal government makes changes in evacuation of Nigerians from US. Welcome to Standard Voice Television News. My name is Samira Ibrahim. Now the news in full. The ICT Hub has presented a research work to fight against COVID-19 pandemic in the state to Governor Bello Muhammad Matawallan Maradon. The research work was done by the ICT Hub in collaboration with the Nigerian Medical Student Association Zamfara State Chapter. The ICT Hub explained that the gesture is part of their contribution to Zamfara State government towards curbing the spread of coronavirus in the state. Receiving the software, the state governor, Dr. Bello Muhammad Matawallan Maradon, promised to give the association maximum support towards achieving its goals. The project is expected to be actualized in the state with the assistance of the state government. President Muhammadu Buhari has sent condolences to the government and people of Zamfara State over the death of the former civilian governor of the old Sokoto State, Dr. Garba Nadama. The president said he was saddened to learn of the death of Dr. Garba Nadama, a great historian whose PhD thesis is still a source of reference for many students and researchers in the country. The president noted that the late Nadama didn't come into prominence only because of politics, but also because of his scholarly contributions in the country. The former Sokoto State governor during the Second Republic achieved academic distinction in the 70s when only fewer people had a PhD. He rose to the pinnacle of academic excellence through sheer hard work and passion for knowledge, and the president believes today's students should aspire to build on the records of great scholars like Garba Nadama. Police in Lagos on Monday intercepted a truck loaded of cattle, but which also had 42 passengers hidden in it. The truck was coming from Zamfara State. The truck was intercepted around Baga Bridge by a joint security team led by the Lagos State Task Force on Environment. The Nation reports that the people hid underneath the cows to avoid being discovered, but were caught during a stop and search operation at the bridge. The discovery has confirmed speculations that drivers were smuggling people from one state to the other, in spite of the directives of President Muhammadu Buhari banning interstate travels as a means to contain further spread of COVID-19 in the country. Some claims that the drivers paid between 10,000 and 20,000 to agents to be allowed to carry passengers, especially to Anambra, Enugu, Ebonyi, Kwara, and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). A man who left Oyo State to his village in Enugu 2 days after the government announced total lockdown of Ogun, Lagos, and FCT and stopped interstate travels, said he bribed security operatives at Onitsha Headbridge with 10,000 naira. Lagos police spokesman Bala Elkana confirmed the interception of the truck, adding that the driver and his assistant were immediately ordered to return to where they came from. In Kwara, police on Tuesday also intercepted a truck loaded with fruits with about 50 persons, comprising women, men and young children, hidden underneath the fruits. The travelers, who were also coming from Zamfara, were immediately sent back. The command spokesman Ajayi Okansanni said the travelers were detected through actionable intelligence. The command spokesman Ajayi Okasami, in his Twitter handle on Tuesday, said that the people hid beneath load of fruit inside a truck in an attempt to deceive law enforcement agents. Dr. Okasami, DSP, said that the efforts were made possible through actionable intelligence, adding that the people had been sent back to Shinkafi, Zamfara State, where they said they were coming from, on the directives of the State Commissioner of Police, Kayode Ebatokun. Nigeria on Tuesday night recorded 148 new cases of coronavirus. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) announced the new cases via its Twitter page, bringing the country's total infections to 2,950. According to a tweet from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC), Lagos State recorded 43 cases, Kano State had 32 cases, Zamfara State recorded 14 cases, FCT Abuja had 10 cases, Katsina State recorded 9 cases, Taraba State had 7 cases, Borno and Ogun State recorded 6 cases each, Oyo had 5 cases, Edo, Kaduna and Bauchi recorded 3 cases each, Adamawa and Gombe States recorded 2 cases each, while Plateau, Sokoto and Kebbi States recorded single case each. As it stands, 481 patients have been discharged and 98 deaths recorded. 34 doctors have tested positive to coronavirus in Kano State within the last 2 weeks. One of them has died, the Doctors Association said on Tuesday. No fewer than 30 doctors in Lagos and Katsina State were reported on Monday to have tested positive to the virus. Chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association, Kano State Chapter, Dr. Sanusi Bala, said many of the victims were doctors working at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital. The others work with private clinics in the state. A dispatch driver with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) in Nasarawa State has tested positive with COVID-19. This brings the number of confirmed cases in the state in 12 with 1 death. Governor Abdullahi Sule announced this on Tuesday during an expanded security meeting at the government house in Lafia, the state capital. He said the driver, who lived at Ado in Karu local government area of the state and worked in Abuja, had been the one conveying samples of suspected cases to the testing collection center. The governor said government's response team was tracking the 74 contacts of the House of Assembly member who died from coronavirus pandemic. As Nigerians observe the 10th anniversary of the death of former President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, President Muhammadu Buhari has extolled the virtues of the leader who served as governor of Katsina State for 8 years. Despite our political differences, President Yar'Adua was unarguably a patriot because of his passion for the masses and his reversal of policies he believed were hurting ordinary Nigerians. Every leader should be given the credit that he deserves, whether you agree with President Yar'Adua politically or not. I must say that history will always record his honest and sincere service to the country. Kano State Governor Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has approved the appointment of Alhaji Kabiru Muhammad Inuwa as new Emir of Rano. Alhaji Kabiru Muhammad Inuwa is the Kaigamar Rano and Hakimin Kibiya. The previous Emir of Rano, Alhaji Tafida Abubakar Illa, died on Saturday, May 2nd, after a brief illness. The announcement of the new Emir is contained in a statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the government, Abba Anwar, on Tuesday and made available to Control TV. The Emir of Daura, Alhaji Umar Farooq Umar, was on Tuesday night hospitalized at the intensive care unit of the Federal Medical Center, FMC, in Katsina State. The nation gathered from reliable sources that he was rushed unconscious to the hospital after suffering from high blood pressure. The nation stated that the Emir was rushed to FMC for high blood pressure and was unconscious when he was taken to the hospital on Tuesday night, and some people even thought whether he had passed on. It reports that Governor Aminu Bello Masari 2 days ago sealed the Daura Palace to control the spread of coronavirus in the entire Daura local government area. Rivers State Governor Nelson Wike on Tuesday accused the federal government of playing politics with the relocation of Almajiri to contain the spread of coronavirus pandemic. Governor Wike said when they started relocating the Almajiri in the north, the federal government said nothing, but immediately they heard that they have relocated some Almajiri, they came up with the declaration that it is against the interstate movement. The governor also urged traditional rulers to set up a task force in their communities to ensure the closure of markets, hotels and beer parlors across the state. Addressing the monarchs at the government house in Port Harcourt, Wike said the shutdown of Port Harcourt and Abio upper local government areas were necessary to curtail the spread of coronavirus in the state. The Svtv community in the UK has donated some palliatives to hundreds of elderly men and women in Svtv, one West local government area of Edo State, to mitigate the sufferings occasioned by the ongoing lockdown as a result of coronavirus pandemic. The presentation of the foodstuff that included rice, beans, gari, vegetable oil, bread, washing soap and other essential items was made penultimate Saturday directly to each recipient at home. The group, which is made up of Svtv sons and daughters in the UK, led by Mrs. Rosemary Pakbemi, Mrs. Teresa Itwa and Mr. Eric Emery, said it embarked on the project to distribute some relief packages to the elderly in Svtv because of the ongoing lockdown in the country due to the coronavirus pandemic. Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has granted pardon to 93 inmates serving different jail terms in correctional centers across the state. The move is in line with the presidential directives to the state governors to decongest correctional centers as a step to control the outbreak of coronavirus in the centers. The chairman of Borno State Advisory Council on Prerogative and Mercy, who is also the State Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, Kakashia Hulawal, made this known statement made available to journalists in Maiduguri. Governor Zulum graciously approved the state's pardon in line with the policy of the federal government to decongest custodial centers as part of measures to contain the spread of COVID-19 in the country. The House of Representatives is heading for the court over what it believes is a widely allegation of bribery of $10 million allegedly given the House to pass the Infectious Disease Control Bill. The reconciliation was to take legal actions against the online media organization for allegedly reporting that the House collected $10 million from Bill Gates to pass the contentious Infectious Disease Control Bill. Speaker Femi Bajabiamila has mandated the clerk, Mr. Patrick Giwa, to liaise with the majority leader of the House and legal advisor to the National Assembly to begin legal action. To fine-tune the efficacy of the legal action, the House also set up an investigative panel headed by Henry Wauba to fish out those responsible for the damaging report. The panel is to report back to the House in 10 days. The Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, Mr. Otunda Segun Runsewe, has donated COVID-19 personal protection equipment, PPE, to members of the Nigerian Police Force. The donation, which is a continuation of the support of the Council to the fight against COVID-19 pandemic, is to enhance the security of officers and men of the force who are in the front line in the effort to curb the spread of the virus. The items donated include locally made customized face shields, regular face masks made of local fabrics and sanitizers, liquid soap, information and communication materials, among others. Making this donation, Mr. Otunba commended the gallantry of the police force and their commitment to the enforcement of COVID-19 guidelines. He also commended the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Abubakar Adamu, for directing members of the force to respect citizens' human rights in the discharge of their duties. On business, Nigeria will not hold bidding rounds for major oil fields until crude prices recover, and some upstream projects will be completed much later than originally planned, officials said in a web conference on Tuesday. Oil prices also rose Tuesday as traders looked optimistically at moves by several major economies to ease coronavirus lockdown, allowing greater economic activity and likely boosting demand for oil. International benchmark grade Brent crude maintained upward swing in the past few days, getting close to $30 per barrel. The price rose 4.4% to $29.21 per barrel, according to market insider data, while West Texas Intermediate rose close to 7% to $22.64 per barrel. Nigeria, Africa's largest oil producer, is grappling with a significant drop in oil prices and a collapse in global fuel demand caused by lockdown measures aimed at containing the new coronavirus. The delay in some licensing rounds cut the country's projected revenue from signature bonuses to 350 billion naira this year from 939 million naira originally expected, the official said on the call, with most of the anticipated revenue coming from license renewals. And on the international scene, evacuation of the first batch of stranded Nigerians in the United States, earlier scheduled for Saturday, has been brought back to Saturday. Also changed in the flight number from ET 509 announced on Sunday to ET 8509 by the same carrier, Ethiopia Airlines. The Consulate General of Nigeria in New York announced the changes in a statement issued on behalf of the Nigerian mission in the U.S. on Tuesday. In a notice on Sunday, the consulate had said no fewer than 700 Nigerians registered with the missions in the U.S. for evacuation to be done in batches. It said the plane will only accommodate 270 passengers who will be picked on first-came, first-served basis. Still on the international scene, the federal government will today commence the evacuation of Nigerians stranded abroad. The exercise, it was learnt, will commence with the 265 Nigerians in the United Arab Emirates. There are over 4,000 Nigerians stranded across the globe due to the lockdown occasioned by the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. According to a statement by Mr. Ferdinand Onwe, spokesperson, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the first batch of evacuees will arrive today, while the second batch will come from London on Friday. The third batch will arrive 3 days later from New York, United States. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Zam ICT Hub presents research work to fight against COVID-19 pandemic to Zamfara State Government. Nigeria records 148 new COVID-19 cases. President Muhammadu Buhari describes former President Yar'Adua as a patriot. On business, price crash delays oil bid rounds and upstream projects. And on the international scene, federal government makes changes in evacuation of Nigerians from U.S. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garbatino, I'm Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant day. Keep watching Standard Voice Television News. Goodbye.